And countries should restart some development aid for impoverished Afghanistan that was halted a year ago when the Taliban seized power, the UN aid chief Martin Griffiths has said, as the United States told Russia and China to put your money where your mouth is.
United Nations Aid Chief Martin Griffiths told the UN Security Council on Monday that countries should restart some development aid for impoverished Afghanistan that was halted a year ago when the Taliban seized power. Afghanistan has long relied heavily on development aid, which was cut as the international community demanded the Taliban respect human rights, particularly girls and women whose access to work and school has been limited by the Islamists. More than half of Afghanistan's 39 million people need humanitarian help and 6 million are at risk of famine, said Griffiths.
Afghanistan's de facto authorities must do their part. Bureaucratic interferences and procedures slow down humanitarian assistance when it is needed most. Female humanitarian aid workers, both national and international, must be allowed to work unhindered and securely, and girls must be allowed to continue their education.
The Taliban has not been formally recognized by any foreign governments and is still subjected to international sanctions, which the United Nations and aid groups say are now hindering humanitarian operations in Afghanistan. International banks are wary of breaching sanctions, and the United Nations and aid groups have been struggling to get enough money into the country over the past year. The United Nations has been trying to kickstart a system described as a humanitarian exchange facility to swap millions of aid dollars for Afghan currency in a plan to stem aid and economic crisis and bypass Taliban leaders. Griffiths said this plan was still under deliberation with the Taliban. Meanwhile, US Ambassador to the United Nations, Linda Thomas-Greenfield, said Washington was the top aid donor to Afghanistan and called out Russia and China. If you want to talk about how Afghanistan needs help, that's fine. But we humbly suggest you to put your money where your mouth is. Russia and China dismissed her remarks.